What if I told you that Yuki Tsunoda's Formula One career could be hanging by a thread? After just 12 races? Imagine watching your teammate score 22 points while you only manage 7. After 5 long years fighting for a Red Bull seat, could it already be slipping away? Today, we uncover the truth behind Tsunoda's struggles, the fierce competition waiting to replace him, and whether his F1 dream is about to collapse. Stay tuned, this story could shock you. The cracks in Tsunoda's position have never been more obvious. His recent cue to exit at Zandvoort only deepened the whispers that his time with Red Bull may soon come to an end. Meanwhile, both Racing Bull's drivers reached Q3, and Ishaq Hadjar stunned the paddock by qualifying ahead of both Ferrari cars and George Russell, securing a remarkable P4. This raises a serious question. Is Hadjar already proving himself the stronger candidate than Yuki? Let's look at the numbers, because in Formula One, the numbers rarely lie. After 12 races as Max Verstappen's teammate, Yuki Tsunoda has managed to collect only 7 points on paper. That already looks concerning, but when you compare it to his counterparts, the story becomes even more alarming. Sergio Perez, despite losing consistency in recent years, still managed 22 points in the same period. Liam Lawson, who had far less time to settle into the team, still walked away with 20 points of his own. These aren't just statistics. They're a brutal mirror reflecting Tsunoda's struggles when it matters most. What makes it worse is the consistency issue. Tsunoda hasn't reached Q3 a single time this season. He's not just trailing Verstappen, he's nowhere near him. For a team like Red Bull, this is not a minor inconvenience. It's a full-blown crisis, with Verstappen no longer dominating every weekend with the same ease he once did. The Austrian squad desperately needs both drivers contributing points. In the Constructors' Championship, a strong second driver can make the difference between a winning team and one that fades into irrelevance. Right now, Tsunoda isn't delivering. And this is where the so-called curse of the second seat at Red Bull comes into play. Ever since Verstappen's meteoric rise, the second seat has developed a reputation for being impossible to hold. Yes, there were exceptions. In 2021, Perez's defensive masterclass helped Verstappen secure the title, and in 2023 he finished as vice champion. But more often than not, that seat has destroyed careers. Pierre Gasly and Alexander Albon both experienced the same story. Promoted with great fanfare, overwhelmed by the pressure, and swiftly demoted when they couldn't keep up. Now, Tsunoda looks dangerously close to being added to that same list. The cruel twist is the timing. Tsunoda waited 5 long years at Red Bull's sister team to get his promotion, only to find himself in a car that is no longer dominant. His predecessor, Perez, lost the seat under similar conditions, and Lawson suffered the shortest stint in Red Bull's history. For Tsunoda, what should have been a career-defining opportunity now looks more like a high-stakes gamble, one where the odds of survival grow slimmer with every race. To make matters worse, Red Bull's pipeline of young talent is overflowing. They have strong drivers already competing at Racing Bulls, and promising names like Arvid Lindblad waiting in the wings. Lindblad is set to join Formula One soon, likely starting in the sister team before gunning for a Red Bull promotion. There are even rumors of the team's interest in Alex Palou, the 4-time IndyCar 500 champion and former McLaren Academy driver. That's the terrifying math. 3 drivers cannot fit into 2 seats. Sooner or later, someone has to step aside. And right now, Tsunoda looks like the weakest link. Red Bull management has tried to keep faith. Laurent Mekies, the team principal, has publicly stated that the goal is to give Tsunoda the time and tools he needs to perform. His mission for 2025 is clear: maximize Yuki's potential and keep him competitive for the second seat. The priority is to give Yuki what he needs to perform, Mekies explained, emphasizing that the team is exploring every possible solution. But the harsh truth is that Formula One is unforgiving. As Mekies himself admitted, no team can simply copy another's car concept. If Racing Bulls are more competitive, that doesn't mean Red Bull can replicate their success overnight. For Tsunoda, this means fewer lifelines and more pressure. Looking ahead, the 2026 regulations could offer Tsunoda one final shot at redemption. With sweeping technical changes arriving, every driver and team will essentially reset to zero. If Red Bull decides to keep him for 2026, Yuki could seize this opportunity to reinvent himself. But the caveat is huge. He must deliver in 2025. If he continues on his current trajectory, no regulation change will save him. Worse still, Red Bull's technical development isn't looking promising. Their powertrain division faces heavy skepticism, and if Tsunoda can't adapt to the current RB21, it's hard to imagine him thriving in a completely new era of cars. If Red Bull does decide to cut ties with Yuki Tsunoda, the reality is that his options are painfully limited. For a brief moment, Cadillac looked like a potential lifeline, but with their 2026 lineup already confirmed, that door has closed. The only glimmer of hope lies with Honda, who maintain a strong partnership with Aston Martin. That connection could, in theory, secure Yuki a seat in 2027. But there's a catch. It would require him to sit out the entire 2026 season. In Formula One, sitting out for a year is usually a death sentence for a career, especially when younger. Hungrier drivers are waiting in the wings, and that's where the real problem lies for Yuki Tsunoda. Even if he somehow manages to hold on until Honda's next potential opening, everything hinges on what he delivers in 2025. That season will be the defining moment of his career. If he fails to put in consistent results, Honda may think twice about backing him, nationality or not. In the ruthless world of Formula One, sentiment is fleeting, performance is everything. Teams don't gamble on loyalty. They invest in results. The stakes could not be higher. Red Bull Racing is desperate for a strong performing second driver, someone capable of matching Max Verstappen closely enough to bring home valuable constructors' points. Right now, Tsunoda is simply not filling that role, whether it's down to the unpredictable nature of the RB21 or his inability to adapt to the car's demands. The reality is unchanged. Red Bull cannot afford to carry dead weight. For a team fighting to maintain its dominance, every missed opportunity costs them dearly. And while Tsunoda struggles, the competition grows fiercer with each passing race. Isaac Hadjar, Liam Lawson, Alex Palou, Arvid Lindblad, and even whispers of outsiders like George Russell have been floated as possible fits. For Red Bull's long-term plans, it's a predator's circle, and Tsunoda is standing right in the middle of it. Hadjar, in particular, looks like the most immediate threat. His performances have established him as the leading Red Bull-affiliated driver, outside of Verstappen, making him the natural successor if Tsunoda falters. Time is not on Yuki's side. The 2025 season won't be just another year to prove himself. It will be the year, his final chance to silence critics and cement his place in the pinnacle of motorsport. If he cannot step up and prove himself a reliable teammate to Verstappen, his Red Bull story may come to an end. And if that happens, he won't be remembered for fulfilling his potential, but as yet another cautionary tale. Another name swallowed by the curse of Red Bull's second seat. So, what's next for Yuki Tsunoda? Will he rise to the challenge and prove he belongs at Red Bull Racing? Or is his dream slipping away with every race? One thing's certain, the clock is ticking. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more exclusive Formula One stories. Thanks for watching.